When is the perfect time to start celebrating Christmas?
It is a crime.
Right now.
In my personal opinion, it is a crime to start celebrating Christmas before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
I will never, ever condone celebrating Christmas before Thanksgiving. If I hear Mariah Carey utter a single syllable on that song before we even have a turkey, I'm going to flip my mind. That's not how you say it, but I just remembered your rules, so I'm going to flip. I'm going to do a backflip. I don't know. It's just people are just so eager to get into the Christmas spirit.
I mean, Christmas is a much more marketable holiday.
Yeah.
There's no Thanksgiving songs.
And then there's no whole social stigma now around how, the Puritans came over and slaughtered all of the natives, and how that's kind of a little hypocrisy there, celebrating the whole banquet, whole table, everyone's gathered together, completely ignoring the fact that 20 years later,
the same could be said for the Crusades. Let's be real. Come on.
Well, yeah, obviously, a lot of religious stuff has a whole, dark history behind it. It's a reason why that's one of the biggest fights and wars. That's one of the big catalysts for conflict, religion, because it's what people say to never talk around, the table. Politics, religion, and I think it was money.
I don't even know. I just don't talk. Just don't. My advice: don't talk. And Mariah Carey, we're coming for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're going after your lip synced performances. It's 2018, Mariah. No, time for new holiday songs. Your time is over. Your reign needs to be over. It's a tyranny. We're done with it.
Hi, my name is Kati Somayan, your humble host, and welcome to the 22nd episode of Young and Terrified. Today, my guest is Claudio. Hi, Claudio.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm living. I'm existing.
And how have your 24 hours been?
Extremely dull. I don't know. I've been generally wasting my whole break. So these past 24 hours have been nothing but boring stuff. I mean, I guess I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, as I think a lot of people, nationwide have been. But other than that, nothing productive. No schoolwork, no reading, no getting ahead on memorizing my lines for my play, which I really should do considering how badly last rehearsals went.
Oh boy, what happened?
Act 1 was fine. Act 2 was really when it hit the fan.
And we're doing Narnia, so that's the act you come in.
Yeah, no, Act 1 I only have 10 lines, so yeah. I shouldn't really be proud of the fact that Act 1 was kind of good because I don't really have much presence in Act 1. No, but yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad.
You know what, though? You never know when Aslan has to start playing poker, and then your Red Dead Redemption
exactly
knowledge comes into play.
I think a lot of people don't appreciate how a lot of, it overlaps. Exactly, drama and gaming, No, I can't carry this any further. I have literally no ties. I can't justify it at all.
See, I was waiting for you to try to justify that.
No, this was going nowhere.
You're that type of person who would try to justify that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So good luck with those lines, because that's why I don't act.
Thank you.
That's why I can't act, because I cannot remember lines to save my life.
I mean, it's a lot more than that, really. It's not even just memorizing the lines. It's knowing them so you don't have to worry about them when you're up on stage. Because then you have to have the whole acting thing. But with this one, it's really, I don't want to derail it, so I'm just going to show it for a minute.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But it's really weird because I'm going to have a puppet, right? So I'm not going to be directly acting. I'm going to be carrying that huge puppet thing. I'm going to be looking at it. So I'm thinking I'm going to be emotional, right? I'm going to have to emote. But it's going to be so weird trying to adapt to that with the puppet, because I don't know. Because obviously if I emote, it's going to carry on through my voice, and that's really important. But it's going to be really weird. Whatever, that's all I'm trying to say. Memorizing the lines is just one part of the whole thing, It's one part of the whole melange that is acting. And it's really weird because, I don't know. It's just going to be a nightmare if I don't memorize those lines.
Yeah, but you won't be doing any of that because you'll be playing Red Dead for the rest of the weekend.
Hey, it hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it won't be. It's like a 99% chance that's what will happen, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll pull through in the end.
Yeah.
I brought you in because you're probably one of the better writers that I know.
Oh, thank you.
I've read your writing; it's really good, and you have submitted some of your works before in the past, and I think now to Thespians, which is a competition I've talked about in the past on this podcast. It's for drama and stuff, and you've submitted your plays that you've written, and you've won. Like, what'd you get? Like, got a superior, right?
Superior for both, yes, both years.
Okay, and you've submitted another one this year.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about the writing process of how do you go about making a play and one good enough to get a superior?
Well, I never think they're good enough for superiors, if I'm going to be honest with you. I always think when I write them, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're good. They're passable. But I never in the moment, I'm like, oh, this is great. Or I'm never in the moment like, oh, this is good enough. No, it's just that the deadline came and I need to submit something. So this is what it's going to be. This is the best it's going to get. So I'm never completely satisfied with what I do. And like with the whole writing process in general, it always starts with an idea. It's always a premise. For my plays, for my first one, it wasn't born out of any it wasn't born out of any personal experience I've had. It was just me trying to do an exercise in my mind. Okay, so I needed to do a play. I've never done this before. This was sophomore year. And it was towards the end of freshman year that I had started to think about it because we were talking about playwriting. Oh my God, it feels so long ago now. And they were saying, with playwriting, you need to have all these things. You have to have conflict. And they were telling me like, oh, like a subway. Think of like a setting where there's going to be conflict, and it's going to be prolonged for one act. And it's a very difficult thing writing for one act because you always have all these ideas in your mind. You always have a lot of things you want to do and a lot of situations you want to see play out. But the reality of the fact is you only have 30 pages. And the thing with playwriting is that those 30 pages get taken up really quickly with dialogue, with stage actions, with parentheticals, all of that. The pages you have left start decreasing really quickly. And sometimes you want that to happen because you're like, oh, I need to fill it up. I need to do something. But you never should want to do that because then it's just filler and the people reading it will notice.
Yeah.
So my writing process is that I start off with an idea, And so with the first one, it was like, okay, so I have a subway and I need to do conflict. Okay, how will I start that conflict? And then my mind went, okay, maybe it can be like a socioeconomic thing. So I'm like, okay, we have a lawyer and maybe we have like a homeless man. Okay, so then there's that. There's a little bit of already tension there with that whole thing. And they're not really talking to each other, but then the subway stops. And I just flash back to what you were telling me about the bright line and everything.
Yeah. I had a issue with the bright line yesterday, which is Florida's new train network. It's great, but you were saying, yeah.
So I just quickly remembered about that. I didn't even notice that. So it was the metro, and it stopped. So they were forced to talk to each other, and they started talking to each other about their experiences, about how their names are Sonny and Mickey. Mickey is the homeless man, and Sonny is the lawyer. Mickey has had a really rough past. He had a wife and a daughter, but then the daughter got into the hospital. Then the lawyer scammed them out of their, money, and now Mickey is projecting that onto people. Sonny had a father who got, robbed and murdered by a homeless man. So then they both have these stigmas about each other, and they both have these histories with each other's, stereotypes. And it's about them evolving through that. It's about them getting through that, and it's about them learning about each other, and ultimately learning that you can't judge somebody by the actions of what their peers or what their, what you think their people to be. So that was the first one.
Yeah, and I want to ask, are you a character sheet person? Like, do you do character sheets, or are you one that you're like a Beautiful Minds type deal in which you're connecting the dots and making characters? Like, how do you go about that?
So my favorite writer, George R.R. Martin, who has written the A Song of Ice and Fire series, most commonly known as the Game of Thrones books.
Yeah, very, very underground indie
author. For sure. Completely
no
obscure.
One's ever heard of
completely obscure series. You may not have heard about it. They have this really niche show on HBO.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it get a lot of praise recently. No, but I just realized how ridiculous that introduction was
What introduction?
to George R. R. Martin. I mean, I don't know. I guess a lot of people know about the TV series. I don't know if they know the author. So he's the author of the books, which, by the way, have not been completed. And he's like 80-something years old, and there's still 2 more to come out. And they're complete Bible tomes of books, how big they are. Anyways, I digress. He's described his writing process as him to be a gardener. He puts down his seeds, and he watches them grow, and he kind of like nips and prunes at how they're growing, and he's kind of like trying to mold them in a general way. But it's the seed itself that does the growing, and he's just trying to manipulate it like in a certain way. He just sees what happens. So that's me. I don't like outlines. I mean, I've never tried to do one. I've never sat down and be like, okay, Claudio, this is how it's going to be. You're going to have this intro. This happens next. This will be your middle act. This is how it ends. Have this conflict here. Address these points and then end. No, I never do that. I just sit down and I try to write. I just write. And I think to myself, okay, they're in this situation. They're talking to each other. How will this scene develop? What will they say to each other? What will be the motivations they have? What conflict is there, and how can I make that apparent? So in a way, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just trying to let my mind try to recreate it as faithfully as possible and try to make it sound as realistic as possible. So I'm trying to gather all of the dialogue I've witnessed, I've heard people do. I've heard people say, in real life. And I try to ground that as much as possible, and I try to incorporate that into my writing as much as possible. So it's always been a thing that people have said to me, your dialogue, it sounds so real. How do you do it? And for me, I always try to write down what I hear in my mind. All the ums.
Okay, no, that's... I mean, in one way, that also sounds like a mental
like
disorder.
I'm not schizophrenic, or I'm hearing voices in my head, which is actually what my lit essay was about, my college essay. I hear voices in my head. That was the whole premise around it, and I went into the whole playwriting process. So I was going on a little bit of an angle to get the hook, but yeah, I don't really listen to they don't talk to me.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, like most people. So you don't outline, which is crazy to me.
No, I don't.
That's crazy business. Because I'll just be there stuck with that character. I'm like, I have to know this character, like my firstborn child.
Oh no, sometimes they surprise me. Sometimes I think of things and I'm like, oh, that would be really cool to have in there. And I try to work it in there. But if it's not organic enough, I just let it go. But it can inform their background. But most of the time, they're just like a blank slate.
Yeah, so you try to kind of like, wait, do you try to become the character, or do you try to know the character?
No.
Or
in a way, I guess I try to form them in my mind, they're there, and I don't know much about them, but they're in the situation, and it's in their interactions that I start to learning more about them, how they are, who they are, what they've done. So, and then I'm like, okay, he's saying this stuff to him. What would make sense for him, for what to have happened to him to have this animosity? So in the example of my first play, I'm like, oh, I need to justify why he's so angry at Sunny. And then I started thinking of a whole backstory behind him. I'm like, oh, okay, we can make this happen, and this is why he's so angry, and this is why he's, have this animosity towards Sunny. And that's generally how the process goes, As you develop more, as you develop the scene more, as you develop the plays more, that stuff just keeps cropping up, and you're like, okay, I can use this as part of the process. So that's why I don't outline. I feel like I want it to surprise me in a way.
So going forward with that, you've done 3 as of right now, 3 plays right now?
With this one that I've submitted this year, 3, yes.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like your style is developing, but at the same time?
Oh, for sure. If I were to compare my first... Sorry, were you going to say more?
Do you feel like the stories are kind of blending together?
I try to make it different each year. Like, as radically different as possible as I can from the previous one, because I don't want to feel like I'm stagnating. I don't want to feel like I'm stuck in this one idealistic vision or this one, way. So my first one, sophomore year, it was between 2 people, and it was a very kind of easy way to navigate that with the whole character stuff. My junior year, I did this one called The Way Things Go, and
which I really liked.
You want to know something? I don't like it anymore. I think it's really cheesy.
I thought it was really great.
Really cheesy, unrealistic. Like that, and I think that's the curse of every author.
Yeah.
They grow to hate what they've done because they're constantly trying to improve and everything they can see is like the flaws of what they've written. But I think I've digressed a little. Yeah, every year I try to do it differently. The whole thing with the characters I was talking about for sophomore year and for junior year, I tried to do a lot more characters. So I tried to develop my ability to have a lot of more voices, have them be separate, which was a real challenge for me because whenever I write, I usually have this one stylistic voice in my mind. So I have to take care of watching the pronunciation. No, not the pronunciations. How the characters say stuff, the structure, the words that they use. All of that comes together to do voice. And it's really hard to do sometimes because it's difficult to really differentiate because sometimes they just kind of blend together. So you have to watch out for that. And then this year I went back to two people, but I made it different in that it wasn't animosity from the beginning. I'm not gonna get into the whole play. So it's gonna be like a whole exercise in like half an hour. But every year I just try to do something different, and I try to develop it more, and I try to do something out of the boundaries of what I've done before, so that I don't feel like I'm stagnating, basically.
And that's kind of like how you scare yourself out of just doing the same thing over and over again. Because I see like with my work, when I do something, I'm like, oh boy, this character is very similar to someone else I've made before. Like I want to change them because I don't want to have the same person coming up over and over again in my writing. And yeah, like I have a list of stock characters. I have a character lists that I just keep on handy because I come up with a character, but I don't have a story for them.
Right.
But
I think it's different with unfinished work because whenever you don't really finish something, and it's been my experience, with writing stories, I've tried to do like a novel. I've tried to do something of that extent, like that magnitude. And I always have this one character reoccurring and rehappening. And
yep.
I've gone like through the intro maybe 1,000 times of the book, and I've never gotten too far into it because I just hate every time when I open it back up. I hate how it went. I hate how the characters were speaking. I hate the whole contrivances. I hate everything about it. So I just start over again. But the one thing that stays is the character. And I think that the reason why we stick with that so much is because we want to make it work. We want that character to have a place because we've spent so much time thinking about the character, about molding the character to be, that something inside of us just can't let it go of it. And it's been my experience as well. But with the finished work, I don't have that urge anymore. I don't want to bring that character back. I don't want to bring it back.
Because their story's done.
Exactly. There's closure. But with an unfinished work, that character never lives out the story arc. So you're constantly like fighting to put him back in because you want to see that closure. You want to see it come to an end. So it hasn't happened to me. But I think the way to solve that, in both our cases would be to finish it. To actually just, even if we hate the finished product or even if we hate everything that we've done, having that be done in a way that is satisfying to the character.
It's so cathartic. It's finishing a work or even just like a paper or like anything writing based. I love writing, but just that last period at the end, I'm like, thank God this is over.
Done with it.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to read this. I don't want to look at it.
Exactly. I hate proofreading. I don't want to relive it.
Ooh, no, that's why I give it to other people to proofread. I'm like, do your worst. Do your worst, please.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried National Novel Writing Month?
No.
Okay.
It was at NaNoWriMo?
Yes,
I've seen it online, and
So, NaNoWriMo, I did my first one 8th grade, and I did my last one sophomore year, because junior year I was working on this. But basically that helped me kind of develop a lot as a writer. Like, even though none of the years I never completed, because like that burnout of having to write like a certain amount of words to reach like a word count every day.
Yeah.
It was like so just like mind it burned my brain. Like
Inktober.
Yeah. No, oh my God. Inktober, there is also burnout there. But like
it's a different kind.
NaNoWriMo's a different kind because you're writing like 3,000 some words a day. 2,000, 3,000.
So that comes up to 90,000 at the end of the month.
Not 90,000. Well, like.
Because 30 days.
2,000. Yeah, 2,000 something. I don't know. I don't know math. Yeah, it's 2,000-ish words a day.
2,500?
I don't know.
That might be the figure. I don't know.
It's supposed to be 50,000 words. But anyway.
Okay.
Writing that much for every single day for a whole month is
taxing.
Yeah, it is extremely taxing. But in 8th grade, when I needed to work on my writing the most, I did this like genre fiction about this Mars settlement, like these 3 people in a Mars settlement. One of them's like a UPS worker for space. The other one is this like Mars boarding school kid. And like I can't remember the third one. I don't think I even got there.
Did you have a name for the UPS space system?
I did, and I think his name was Kevin.
No. I meant like the organization, like
no,
like Space UPS.
Yeah, I think it was just Space UPS. I honestly, it was probably SUPS. But the boarding school one was like kind of like this like angsty emo kid because I was angsty and emo.
Yes.
So
we have a burning desire to insert ourselves into our narratives.
Yeah. But his name was Nathaniel, and Nathaniel hated everything about space and wanted to go home. But then
I hate low gravity. So stupid.
Yeah, Nathaniel listened to like Panic at the Disco and My Chemical Romance, and he had like jet black hair, and it was shaggy. And
My Immortal.
It was basically My Immortal, but it was in space, and Nathaniel.
Everything's better in space.
Nathaniel was my emo self-insert character.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I think everybody's had that phase. You know, everybody that's like gotten into writing their high school year, everybody's had that really cringy middle school Wattpad.
The Wattpad phase.
The Wattpad phase I was on to earlier. Yes, the Wattpad phase.
Yeah. Do you have any cringy works from middle school?
Yes, and I don't want to talk about that. Basically, no. No, we're not opening that can of worms today.
More power to you.
Yes.
But you recognize that it was there.
Oh, it was completely there. And I think that's where I got so good at dialogue because I wrote so much bad dialogue.
Oh my God, no. Bad dialogue is like a staple of like 8th grade for me.
Oh no. It was the way they acted, what I thought was cool at the time, you know, the little like hair flips and like little emotes when they talk, you know, all of that was in there. And I was like, oh, I was writing. I'm like, oh, I'm the gosh darn Mark Twain of the century. I didn't say that in my mind.
But yeah, think of like the pool of people that you knew in 8th grade. It's not that many people. And like as the person who got in trouble in class for writing, I obviously did not have had like many friends and people to go off of for like conversation or like figuring out like what actual human conversation is. So I think that's why dialogue is so cringy in middle school.
Yeah.
And maybe our dialogue's cringy now. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know. I think it's always going to be cringy when we look back at it because we're always in the constant state of, you know, well, we should be at least, you know, like growth and evolving and checking to see what you've written and how it holds up to what you're doing now, you know. I think it'll always be unsatisfactory in a way. It's like how actors never watch themselves in movies because they're always like, oh, I hated that. Or like, oh, that sucks. Because we always hate what we do. You know, we always hate. Well, we don't hate. I think that's a really strong word.
Yeah.
We feel unsatisfied because we know we could do better. We always have this vision in our minds, and it's never going to be as great as that vision. So I think like even when you're done with it, you already feel unsatisfied. Yeah,
I can't bear to see myself move a table on stage. Me? Never. That's a tech problem. Why do things?
Oh no, we're already in an existential dread phase.
Yeah, no, we're continuing 8th grade existentials and we're bringing it over. But why do things?
Why do things? That is a great question. In what sense? Like, why? It's a very broad.
We're talking about writing.
Yes.
But like, why do writing?
Why do writing? I do writing because I've always felt attracted to it. I've always felt that kind of like egotistical thing. I'm like, oh, I want to be a famous author. You know, I want to be a famous author. I want to be a household name. Rick Riordan with the Percy Jackson books was a huge inspiration for me.
Oh, me too. Like, super. Like, I had a Greek mythology club, and we were all, like, different gods.
That sounds so cool.
And, yeah, I was Athena, and if anyone tells me different, then they're lying. Why do things? What that means to me is, like, why wake up in the morning and go do the things that you're human and supposed to do. And like this question kind of came to me because we were talking before the podcast and we were talking about the whole idea of the end of worlds.
Oh, yes.
And
apocalypses.
Yeah, like people think that, the apocalypse could be happening like with global warming and what's going on in California and how hurricanes.
The wars. And
like how like hurricanes.
Terrorism.
Yeah.
Our world is just really messed up today.
No
but
kidding.
But I don't know if it's because of the easily available media we have that we think the world is so messed up today, or is it just because there's just that much stuff happening that's really bad?
I think if we had the same amount of kind of media in, let's say, the 1200s, it would be looking pretty grim because we have developing nations full of people wanting to conquer other people. And if we knew about all the people that wanted to conquer all the other people, I don't think we'd be in the same place we were. Because
ending.
Yeah, because I think people would be too scared to make things. And that's like the one thing I fear is that because of so much we know of now that like so much is in jeopardy and so much is so fragile.
We just give up.
Yeah.
It's futile.
We lose the drive of why do things. Like we lose the answer to do it because it turns into...
I'm a complete idiot. You know why?
Why?
I haven't been thinking of why do things as in why do them yourself. I was just thinking why do things just general happen. I was like, it wasn't as...
Oh my God. Okay, wait. So this whole time? So this whole time you thought I meant, why do things?
Yes, that was it. And I was like, where do I take this? How do I do this?
Wait, like, so even when we were talking outside.
Because we have like a general thing in like everyday culture where we're just like, why do things?
Why do things? Why, how is it made?
Why life? Why do life?
On the Science Channel.
Why do live? We have that kind of like...
Yeah. But going back...
I'm an idiot.
Why do things? Why make things? Those things do things?
I see your question now.
Okay.
I think we just have an innate desire to create. Even if it's just a microcosm of society, even if it's just to our friends and family, we just want to feel proud of something. And whether that's a job, whether you're creating something at your job, whether it's a hobby, whether it's just something for yourself, there's just something there that's just a drive to be productive or a drive to be fulfilled, a drive to have purpose. And I think a lot of people, they haven't found that thing. They don't really haven't found their reason to do things. They're just wandering through life aimless because they've been pigeonholed into you have to do this or you have to be this or you have to grow up and be this type of person. And I think that's why they don't do things, because they feel that the things they have to do are hopeless or that they're not who they are, and they may be right. So I think the whole reason why we do things is just pretty basic as human beings. We want to find meaning. And a lot of meaning we find in this world is in the stuff we do. So I don't know if that was too philosophical of an answer for you. I don't know if that's...
No, that's there. That's it. What baffles me the most is people who spend their lives just kind of theorizing about the end of days. Like what you were saying, like the end of days.
You mean like cult leaders and...
Yeah.
And like fear-mongers? Does that make a living off of it?
Yeah, on the one hand, they make a living off of it.
The doomsday preppers?
Yeah, the doomsday preppers. They're prepping for the time in which they can't do things. And I find that so counterintuitive.
That must be so bleak. Having that world. I think I see what you're saying now. That was that kind of expectation for the future. You're already defeating yourself. It's already defeatist in nature. You're just telling yourself, "Oh, things are gonna end. Stuff isn't gonna happen anymore." How terrifying must that be to the normal layperson to think about when they're in? And I think that's why we have such a fascination. That's why we have such a fascination with apocalypse media. 2012 comes to mind.
Yeah. What was that movie? World War Z.
The San Andreas, with The Rock. and
The Rock's in
California.
everything. My mom told me that The Rock has been cloned and we're splitting him against. That is something my mother has actually told me. Like, you're totally right. But which Rock is in Moana?
The musical one.
Yeah. Wait. So there's two Rocks?
No, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, wow.
There's a singing,
Wait, there's a
singing
Rock.
one.
There's
There's
Dwayne
a
The
one
Rock Johnson Network.
Yes. There's the Instagram there's the Instagram Rock. There's the Apocalypse Rock. There's the musical Rock. There's the occasional WWE appearance Rock. There's the comedy Rock. There's a bunch of rocks. You know, they're just all there. What has this podcast turned into? By God.
No, but why does the Rocks do? Why do the Rocks?
Why do the
plural?
rocks?
Why
do rock?
Why do the Rocks do things? Like, at a certain point, like the Rock or
He's
the
my role
Rocks as the Rocks as a collective. At a certain point, do you think is it too much?
I think when they combine is when the apocalypse will begin. I think that will be the sign for the end of times, when they all just come together and form this mega rock being. I think that is when we will all just know it's over, man. It's game over. We're done with life. We're all it's all downhill from here. It's peak rock, baby.
We thought it was the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
No, it's just the rock. The Rock.
Who's the Rock's leader? Like, who do you think?
The Rock has no leader. He is just he's just the man. If he even is a man.
Yes,
if he even is a man.
Yeah.
Is he metamorphosed? Is he sedimentary? Is he igneous? We don't know. What kind of rock are you, Rock? What are you hiding from us?
People say that like Elon Musk is like an alien because
No. That's just a front. The Rock manipulates Elon Musk. He's behind everything.
The Rock is both the Illuminati and the Freemasons.
He is
and all of
everything.
them.
He is culture. Who are you?
The Rock's
We are all the Rock.
I can't believe I'm saying the. No, I was.
Somewhere right now, he's like scrambling. He's like, they're on to us. How did this happen?
Okay.
Was it you, Johnson? Who leaked it?
Okay, we need to get back onto a
I
track.
think we've grossly digressed.
We've grossly digressed. This is Fast and
What
Furiously.
a fun tangent this was.
This is.
Oh yes, the Fast and Furious Rock. I missed one.
There's definitely a Fast and Furious Rock.
Oh,
That's
there
only
for
the
sure.
Fast
With
and
the
Furious.
goatee.
Oh my god.
Do you think he has the time to grow that and shave it and grow it back again for all his movie appearances? No.
Okay.
Just clones himself, has to tell him to grow a goatee and tells him to never shave it. It's so easy. How have we been so blind?
Okay. I'm gonna take a moment and
Just
I'm gonna
collect
think,
yourself.
Yeah.
I think we've just experienced something
We really have.
beyond humanity.
Guys, young and you're terrified. I'm
Oh,
broke.
you philosophers, what are you doing? Get on this.
Yeah. So basically, what I was originally...
Please don't let the title of this podcast relate to what just happened.
It's definitely going to. Whatever it is, it's definitely going to. Okay, but back to the question of...
Why do things?
Why do things?
And I think you asked that question as well because I said, in 1,000 years, nothing we do will matter. Think of 1018.
But
What happened in the year 1018 that you can tell me about right now? Exactly. Nobody can, except for history buffs that are like really well versed in the year 1018. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's not a fair comparison because of the internet, because of general things.
I think we're just going to get a lot better at keeping information unless we have like
But who will be
a second
interested?
like burning of the library of
Alexandria.
Alexandria. If you have a second one somehow where all the servers at Google get set on fire, I'm not giving any ideas. Please don't do that. Which that would be comparable. That would be our burning of the library.
Yeah, the internet going down would be magnitudes greater than the burning down of the library of Alexandria. But I don't think it's possible though. I don't know how the internet works. I don't know exactly how, because it's just a bunch of servers. It's a bunch of data stuff. Maybe if there was like a huge EMP, like global scale, it would go down. I don't know. I think it's really hard to bring the internet down in general.
Why do things you're like, oh, you're not going to be remembered. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to be remembered tomorrow.
Exactly.
And the next year, and hopefully 50 more years after that. Like, I hopefully will be here, maybe make a teeny tiny effect. And if I can make a teeny tiny effect, that can ripple out. And I'm very much of the idea that
everything matters.
Everything matters. Every little decision you make matters. Because, I don't know, like, maybe you're like, you know what? Nothing matters. I'm going to go eat, like, 50 bowls of, like, I don't know, Fruity Pebbles. And then the next day you go into cardiac arrest, and, like, your life's totally changed after that. So
it's not an excuse, basically. You can't use that as an excuse to just give up. I've thought about it personally. It's been like an informing factor in a lot of the stuff I do, but I try to get past it. I try to just say, screw it, who cares? But I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's just as easy as saying, oh, whatever, It'll matter to the family, it'll matter to the friends, because there's always that in the back of your mind, it's going to be scratching away at you, like daily, Nothing you do matters, whatever.
That's such a stupid idea that, like, oh, nothing you do matters. I'm like,
yeah, I know, I hate it.
It does. Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe you just end up buying the lotto ticket that is, like, with the winning numbers, and the next day you're somehow winning the lotto. Or you've just drawn yourself more into debt from buying more failed lotto tickets.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Either way, you did something that matters, and not negative. Maybe it's negative and maybe it's positive, Even if the act of doing nothing is doing something, because you are actively choosing to do nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that matters. It matters to your personal well-being, to your career goals, to what you think you are as a person. Everything you do, it matters. Even doing nothing, it matters.
Why do things?
Why do things? Because we want to do things.
We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back after that. Hey guys, it's your humble host, Kati Somayan here, back at it with some links for you today and just general announcements. Okay, so first off, as always, thank you guys for listening. It means a lot. If this is your first time listening, if this is your 22nd time listening, thank you. And if you want to show your support for the podcast, you can go over on iTunes, subscribe to us. You can leave a rating for the podcast, which really helps us out. It helps me out. It helps this whole project out. You can go over to YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can like the podcast episodes, and you can comment and just leave a nice comment, and you can start a conversation there. Sounds cool. You can go over to Twitter at young_terrified and Instagram at youngandterrified. As well as all of that, you can follow me on Snapchat at GatiSom. That is GatiSom. And thanks to Claudio for coming on today and having a really great conversation. This is a quick one, and we're going to get back to the episode right now. And we are back from that break. Thanks to me in the future for recording that message. But for right now, Claudio, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you're given $10 million. But your one contingency is that you have to spend it within the next 24 hours. What will you do?
It's a lot of V-Bucks. No, I'm kidding. I actually wanted to make that joke.
I would take away the $10 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
Can I launder that money? And that sounds really bad. That sounds super bad. So hear me out.
Yeah.
I'll buy art, really high out there art, and I'll have
like
that.
Banksy.
Sure, yes. And then I can sell that back, and I can get my $10 million. Is that against the spirit of the question?
Kind of, but It makes sense.
Because I just buy a helicopter. Sure, what are you going to do with a helicopter? You're going to have to do maintenance fees. You're going to have to keep it somewhere. You're going to have to store it, and that's going to cost you money in the long run. Buy a boat. Sure, boats are really expensive to maintain. where are you gonna get that money? Where are you gonna get that money to maintain it?
Yeah, no, because the next day you wake up just regular you're no longer a millionaire.
Exactly. Buy a mansion. Okay. Mortgages,
Yeah,
payments,
exactly.
rents. You can't completely pay it off in the span of 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that money's gonna be worthless.
So like you're investing, but without going through like a middleman.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, there's a middleman, but
maybe
okay.
I'll just buy our, really high end cars. Invest in the stock market. Long-term options, preferably stuff that can get me money in the end, that I can make a profit off of from those $10 million.
So probably the stock market. You
Yeah,
just
probably
gotta get real good at stocks real fast.
Or I could just dump it onto the Indy 500. But like, I don't know.
What if
Is
it's
it the
date?
Indy? No, it's not the Indy 500. That's the race.
Yeah.
No, it's the index. What is it? Oh, whatever.
The what?
S&P. Something. I said Indy 500. I'm pretty sure that
the Indy 500 is
that's
NASCAR.
the race. That's the race. I don't know what I'm thinking.
There's only
As
one
you can
race.
see, I'm very well versed in stocks. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me, Claudio. I've give you my card, but I don't have one at the moment. No, I'd just find a stock market. Just one out there, a general. I'm kidding. I don't know.
just any of them.
Just any stock market, any of them, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd invest. I'd find a way to profit, and if not, to retain that money. This is like art, cars, stock market.
If you were to invest, who would you invest in?
I feel like a hot button answer would be Tesla. I feel like that would be like
Ooh.
because I don't know. They've
Ooh,
had
yikes.
they've had a pretty volatile history. They've had like their ups and downs. With that whole he was smoking weed on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then that took a dip in the stocks. I don't know. That would be a hot button answer. I think that would be a lot of instinctual, people. It would be like an instinctual thing for people to say, Tesla. I don't know. I don't know if I would invest in Tesla.
Yeah,
maybe
he's going private with it, but he's also not there anymore. Like Tesla, I think I don't know if he got kicked off or he left.
I think he resigned from the CEO, but I think he still has a seat in the chairman's. I think that's how it went.
Yeah, don't worry. He's still dating Grimes.
He's still doing things.
He's still dating Grimes. It's
fine.
fine.
I know who Grimes is. I just haven't listened to her. I just haven't listened to her music. And stuff.
I have a playlist to send. I really like Grimes right now. And I don't care about all the drama, so y'all can come at me, but...
Yeah, with the whole, like, her mediating for him and stuff.
Like
I heard about
and
that.
also, like, Azalea Banks. It's a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, my God. I watched that, because I watched Anthony Fantano. And,
oh, my God, you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Melonhead. I love him.
Yeah, we love him. We love a Melonhead.
We love Fantano. We love the melon. And that's how I was finding out about, Grimes and the whole Azalea Banks controversy and the drama stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just shamelessly pushing for the melon right now.
Yeah, no, just
shamelessly, shilling right now.
Go listen to the Needle Drop. It's like commentaries on music and stuff.
Reviews. Oh,
it's the good stuff.
He's just so good at explaining music, Not explaining, describing it.
Yeah.
Why he likes it,
Well, Claudio, it's been really great having you on. It's been really great having all of you listening, whether it is your first time or your 22nd time. To close us out, I'd like to ask you, where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years?
Well, that's not a loaded question at all.
What? Me? Loaded questions?
Super
no,
light.
Never.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I feel like I want to be successful. I want to do something that'll obviously pay well. I want to do something that's creatively fulfilling. I want to do something that can net me security, that can net me the capital to have a secure future, to not have to worry about stuff like, finding a paycheck. Because I think that's a lot of my insecurities right now with the family and stuff. It's, finding that next contract, getting paid. I want to get something stable, without going into much into how the contracts and stuff my family works. It's pretty volatile because we're Venezuelan, so we work in the oil thing, and that's pretty, with the sanctions and stuff. It's been kind of hard, and I've been kind of thinking about what I want to do as a job. It's definitely going to be something with English because that's just been my forte. It would be great if I could find something like screenwriting or playwriting because it can be lucrative. I asked my drama teacher which one would be more lucrative. And she said screenwriting. So I don't know, maybe there's a future there. Maybe there's a future in political science. Maybe there's a future in general writing. I'm not sure. It's kind of scary not knowing what you're gonna do. But I think I'll try to pursue screenwriting, at least for a little bit, see how that pans out. And in 10 to 20 years, maybe that's what I'll still be doing, or maybe I'll have done something completely different. But in the end, I just know that I want it to be fulfilling. I want it to be fulfilling. I want it to pay well. I want to be happy with what I'm doing. I want to be happy with where I am. Maybe with a wife and kids. I don't know. I'll have a little time capsule in like 10 to 20 years. I can listen to this and see how it panned out.
Yeah.
It's hard to plan out your future like that because I don't think it ever goes the way you think it will.
It never does.
Exactly.
It never does. Trust me. Like at this point, I think in 8th grade, like you were talking before, like I thought I would be super into like I'll be starting like a creative writing club, and I would have been like just writing all the time. Freshman year. We were both like kind of like set up together like
oh my
Ben's
god,
counselors.
that's right.
That's how we met.
God.
That's how we met because like
holy,
you're extremely intimidating, and I was like, yeah. This isn't going to happen. But we met up through drama club anyway. And I didn't think that... I
completely forgot about that. Oh my God. I'm just having like flashbacks into like you waved super shyly the first time like we met.
Always wave
no. Super shyly. Oh, that was such a trip. I just realized like, oh, whatever. That's besides the point. But that was such a trippy thing. Wow.
Yeah. So... I'm kind of the opposite of what I thought 8th grade me wanted someone to be, but I try to be someone 8th grade me would want to talk to.
Right.
Because that person wanted someone to talk to that was like artistic and wanted to, I don't know, they just like talk to people who made stuff.
Had things going for them.
Yeah, and I don't know if you feel the same way because like as a creative type, like...
I've never thought about it that way. I've never thought about it like as a conversation with a previous me. I've never thought about it as being somebody that my previous self would like to look up to, but I think that's a pretty healthy way of looking at it. Actually, I think that's a pretty good benchmark for whether you're doing things correctly or not.
Yeah.
You know, if like 8-year-old you would have been proud of you, or if it was something you like, that's really cool for you. I don't know. I've never thought about it that way, but 10 to 20 years, man. Hopefully, I'm well off. Hopefully, I'm satisfied. Hopefully, I have found fulfillment. And yeah, that's where I think I'd like to be.
Well, Claudio, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for everyone listening. All the links and everything are down in the description. And I hope you all have a really, really, really nice day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We're not recording.
Reminds me of Chocolate Rain where he's singing and he goes like that. And he explains it like in the little video. So the mic doesn't pick up me breathing.